Charles Bronson, one of Hollywood's most enduring symbols of toughness, was born Charles Dennis Bukinski on November 3, 1921, in the coal mining town of Ehrenfeld, Pennsylvania. The 11th of 15 children born to Lithuanian immigrants, Bronson's early life was marked by poverty and hardship. When his father died, young Charles joined his brothers in the mines, shoveling coal for $1 a ton. Those long, grueling days underground forged both his muscular frame and his stoic spirit, the very qualities that would later define his on-screen persona. During World War II, Bronson served as an aerial gunner in the U.S. Army Air Forces, flying 25 combat missions and earning a Purple Heart after being wounded in action. After the war, he used the GI Bill to study art and theater, discovering a new passion that would change his life forever. He adopted the name Charles Bronson in the 1950s and began his slow climb through Hollywood, taking bit parts in films like You're in the Navy Now and The People Against O'Hara. Bronson's rugged looks and quiet intensity soon set him apart. By the mid-1950s, he had begun to make his mark in films like House of Wax and Vera Cruz, and his breakout came in Machine Gun Kelly, 1958, where his performance as a ruthless gangster revealed a complex mix of menace and vulnerability. Then came The Magnificent Seven, 1960, and The Great Escape, 1963, which catapulted him to international fame. In those films, he played men of few words but deep conviction. Characters audiences instantly trusted and admired. His role in Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West, 1968, sealed his legend. As the harmonica-playing gunman, Bronson gave a hauntingly silent performance that became one of cinema's great Western moments. By the 1970s, he was one of the biggest stars in the world, starring in The Mechanic, Hard Times, and, most famously, Death Wish, 1974. As Paul Kersey, the vigilante who takes justice into his own hands, Bronson became a cultural phenomenon, the ultimate symbol of retribution in an age of fear and frustration. Off-screen, Bronson was famously private and introspective. He lived simply, far from Hollywood glamour, and was deeply devoted to his wife, British actress Jill Ireland, who battled cancer until her death in 1990. Despite his tough image, those close to him described him as gentle, loyal, and quietly humorous, a man who loved painting, carpentry, and the peace of his Malibu ranch. But perhaps the most surprising insight into Bronson's character came late in his life when he broke his silence about fellow actor James Garner. Known for his dislike of Hollywood gossip, Bronson's words carried unusual weight. James Garner was a real actor, he said quietly. He didn't have to play tough. He just was himself. And that's rare in this business. Coming from a man like Bronson, this was the highest form of praise. He admired Garner's sincerity, his ability to make audiences believe every role without pretense or arrogance. There's a lot of pretending in Hollywood, Bronson said. James didn't pretend. You believed him. Soldier, gambler, or just a man trying to do the right thing. Both men had lived through hardship. Garner as a decorated Korean War veteran, Bronson as a miner, and Baudu Thee gunner. They shared a bond born from real experience, not artifice. He was a soldier before he was an actor, Bronson reflected. That never left him. He carried himself like a man who'd seen the world, not just read about it. While Garner's easy charm contrasted with Bronson's granite demeanor, Bronson respected his authenticity. We were different kinds of tough, he said. Garner had that smile, that confidence. I was all stone and smoke, but I respected him because he didn't have to show off. Bronson also dismissed the notion that Garner wasn't a serious actor because of his television success. That's nonsense, he said. Garner could hold his own with anyone. He was natural, and you can't fake that. Remembering their time on the Great Escape, Bronson recalled, "Everyone was trying to stand out. Garner didn't try. He just was. And that's why you noticed him." For Bronson, who despised Hollywood superficiality, Garner's work ethic and humility were virtues worth honoring. "He wasn't a Hollywood guy," Bronson said. "He didn't care about parties or headlines. He just came to work, did the job, and went home. I like that." When asked about rivalry, Bronson shook his head. "No rivalry. We were too different to compete. The audience can tell who's real, and Garner was real." He paused, then added simply, "If there were more James Garners in this town, maybe it'd be a better place." Charles Bronson's admiration for Garner revealed as much about himself as it did about his colleague. Both men represented a vanishing breed. Actors who didn't need to prove their masculinity or chase fame because their strength came from authenticity and experience. Garner didn't have to prove anything, Bronson said. He'd lived it. You can't act that. You live it. It was a rare glimpse of respect between two legends cut from the same rugged cloth. When Charles Bronson passed away on August 30th, 2003, at age 81, Hollywood lost one of its last true icons of stoic strength. His death certificate listed respiratory failure as the cause, complicated by lung cancer, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and heart disease. The final battle for a man who had endured every kind of struggle. He was laid to rest in a quiet Vermont cemetery, far from the noise of the city he never cared much for. His grave is modest, like the man himself, a fitting tribute to someone who never needed to say much to be remembered. In the end, Charles Bronson's life, from coal mines to combat zones to the silver screen, was proof that toughness isn't about words. It's about endurance, honesty, and the respect you earn from those who recognize the real thing. Men like James Garner,